Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's July 9th, and today we're taking a look here at the visible satellite imagery on the GO 17 satellite. This is just a great tool. If you look at it here, you can see some high and mid-level clouds streaming over the Pacific Northwest western portions. Some nice sunshine for eastern portions up into British Columbia. Look at Montana. You can see the nice terrain of the Rocky Mountains here with some cumulus bubbling up. You see some energy flowing out through the southwest here, and you can that's going to bring a potential for a thunderstorm here through Oregon, maybe even a severe storm through portions of Idaho, and definitely in through Montana where there's higher chances, especially out to the east here. But looking closely here, you can kind of see just how great this GO 17 satellite is. You can see where these low clouds off the Oregon coast move into those little inland valleys here, and you can see those clouds moving down in the north flow here. You look closely, you can even zoom in on these, and you can kind of check out Mount Rainier, for example, and you get a really good look at these terrain features. And when the fires start going in the summertime, this is a really great tool for just checking out just how vigorous these fires are and where exactly they are. For example, you see Lake Chelan here. And so, yeah, I love this satellite here. You can visit this on several different websites. It's best to just Google GO 17. This is on the University of Washington site here. You can see these low clouds that move in through some of the coastal areas and up against the Cascades here in Oregon. And these clouds should be burning off today. Another nice sunshiny day across much of the Pacific Northwest up into the mid and upper 70s for Puget Sound, Willamette Valley. Again, if you want to cool off, get to the coast. If you want more heat, get on to the east. Classic summertime pattern here for the Pacific Northwest. Checking out that SPC chance for the thunderstorms all the way back towards the Oregon Cascades. You can see a marginal risk for a severe storm through Idaho, and there is even a tornado threat for portions of Montana, significant wind and hail threat as well. So looking at SeaTac yesterday, 77, a little bit above the average temperature, 76. We should be similar today, maybe around 75 or so, depending on just how much warming we get with these clouds around. And again, nowhere near the 93 we had in 2010's little mini heat wave there. So checking out the HER 3 cam's been doing pretty good with the temperatures. As we go through the day today, you can see classic summertime pattern, cool along the coast, warming up a bit through the inland valleys and eastern Washington and Oregon, warming up nicely towards 90 degrees here. As we go through the day Sunday, you'll notice we get similar temperatures, mid 70s, upper 70s towards 80, Willamette Valley. And as we go on in through Monday, we're going to start to warm it up a bit more again. We'll take a look at the GFS. It gets out in that range here in a moment. Taking a look at the European here, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You see this general troughing pattern here that we've got going on, but it's not a dynamic system by any means. So that's where we're keeping some pretty nice temperatures and some pretty nice days. As you see, as this Gulf of Alaska low gets established, you can see the ridging build out ahead of this here. And that's going to give us the warm day Monday and Tuesday. We're going to warm up a bit into the 80s for Seattle, maybe towards 90 for Portland, and towards 90 for Spokane, eastern portions. But you can see this trough start to drop down as we go into later next week, and we're going to drop the temperatures accordingly back down through western portions at least. There is some pretty good heat going to be building up through portions of eastern Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. We'll take a look at some of that here coming up in a moment. Now, taking a look here, the GFS, this is looking up close and personal here in Washington, Oregon. I just wanted to highlight this. We've got this kind of onshore flow going on here, keeping our temperatures pretty seasonable on the west side, again, upper 70s. And as we go on in through Sunday night into Monday, you'll notice we start to get a little bit of an offshore flow. I mean, just a weakening of the gradients across the region. You can kind of see the offshore component coming here on Monday night into Tuesday, the north flow down the Sound and Willamette Valley, and of course along the coastline, and the weakening winds for eastern Washington. As we go on in through Tuesday, you'll notice this onshore flow kick back on here a bit, and that's going to drop the temperatures down again mid next week from those 80s for Seattle and up towards 90 towards Portland that we're going to get early this next upcoming week here. Now, checking out the GFS here, this shows the temperatures nicely. Here's Saturdays up to upper 70s for Seattle. As we get into Sunday, back into the mid and upper 70s as well. You can see the Southwest and California valleys are really baking here. And as we go on into Monday, we're going to warm things up a bit across the western portions here, all the way up through Seattle, mid 80s, look at Portland, 91. But you'll notice along the immediate coastline, they're getting that north wind down there. It's going to keep that ocean influence on the coastlines there. So nice days out on the coast if you want to beat the heat. You can see eastern Washington getting up into the mid 90s, some areas, eastern Oregon as well. And as we get into Tuesday, could be the warmest day. Either Monday or Tuesday will be the warmest day, but you can see Tuesday looks like upper 80s for Seattle. Same thing for Portland, maybe towards 90 degrees. Check out some portions of eastern Washington, Oregon, up towards 100 degrees here as we go through the day on Tuesday. And then as we go through Wednesday, you'll notice kind of the cool down, at least for western portions here. You can see eastern Washington, Oregon warming up pretty good again. Portions of southeast Oregon, look at that, up towards 100 degrees. And through the valleys there in Idaho as well. Boise really baking here by Wednesday. But you can see Seattle and Portland cool down pretty nicely. Upper 70s towards 80 degrees, and the coast, of course, stays cool. Eastern British Columbia, nice and cool as well here. And then you can see some of the higher terrain here as you're going through Wednesday on British Columbia. If you want to beat the heat, go take a trip up there into the higher terrain for British Columbia. Now, taking this out, this is the GFS. We'll look a little bit more out into the extended forecast here. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. Gulf of Alaska trough. Ridge builds for the heat on Monday and Tuesday, although it doesn't warm up that much, as you can see the reason why for portions of British Columbia here. Then we kick that onshore flow back in through midweek, and then we bring this trough kind of off the coastline here. It's going to keep us seasonable through the period here, so we're not going to warm up too much. There's a pretty good heat wave coming, though, here for portions of the central USA. As you can see, this ridging exists out here. We'll take a look at that briefly here coming up. So you can see some tropical activity kind of sliding up the coast of Baja, California there. Kind of interesting, but it's that time of year. And you can kind of see the troughing remain in through the extent of the GFS. Going to keep some onshore flow component going on for much of the Pacific Northwest on in through the extended forecast here. So you can see this persistent ridging out here across the southwest and central portions of the USA. Now looking at the GFS precipitation, let's see if we can expect anything here. You can see British Columbia, you can see that trough affecting portions of British Columbia here through Tuesday as we've warmed up pretty well on the west side of the Cascades on the day Tuesday, and then we get that marine influence here. And you can kind of see these thunderstorms pulsing through portions of British Columbia here with that troughing. You can see this weak trough settle down over our area later next week, and maybe even bring some light precipitation amounts to portions, mainly Washington and British Columbia. A much better signal there too. And perhaps some more severe storms off into the prairies there for Canada. And you can see each day, check out the pulsing of the monsoon here. As you get this afternoon heating out there, you can kind of see these pulses of the monsoon that continues on here. And some of that activity could move up all the way into Idaho and Montana here through the extended forecast. So the monsoon, another active year, just like last year, is in place. Now checking out GFS for Seattle. Again, it's been running a little bit warm with some of these temperatures, so probably again mid 70s, mid and upper 70s for Seattle. And you can see that warmth kind of highlighted there for Monday, Tuesday before some troughing returns. But again, these temperatures are probably a little bit on the warm side. But we'll check that out as we go day by day. Here's Portland GFS calling for near 80 degrees, and you can see that heat on Monday and Tuesday, perhaps even a 90-degree day on either Monday or Tuesday for Portland coming up here. Here's Spokane. You can see the general troughing on us now. Then we warm up a bit, and then they might stay a bit warmer. We'll have to check these temperatures out here to see how far this heat extends up through Oregon into eastern Washington. Now checking this out, GFS kind of showing you the ensemble mean and the control runs here. You can see that really warm day on Tuesday. Some of these models are showing upper 80s here for Seattle. Some of the extreme runs are up into the low 90s, but we're probably going to remain mid upper 80s on Tuesday, probably low mid 80s on Monday at the warmest for Seattle. And then you can see as you get out to the forecast, as always, the ensemble run and the control run, you can see some of these weird variations as you get out here, just the chaotic nature as you look out into the extended the extended forecast. Now, I mean, this is really a strange signal here. I just want to point this out. Look at the control run for July 20th. It has temperatures only topping out in the upper 50s, around 60 degrees. So obviously that's some kind of extreme outlier, and we're much more likely to be around the mean temperatures here, which would be up into the 70s. So just kind of what we look at as a forecaster here when you look at the extended. Now here's 6 to 10 day outlook. You can see that heat just building over central portions of the country here. Check out Alaska, well below average here, and kind of a little bit of a trend for some warmer temperatures here. This is valid for July 14th through 18th here. Precipitation, you can see the active monsoon here. Now, 8 to 14 days, sorry, you can see that heat forecast there for central portions out in the plains here. And you can see a little bit of that monsoon moisture keeping things to near normal, maybe even a little bit below normal towards the Tucson area. And you can see our near normal here for the Pacific Northwest, but that, you can see some of that heat moving up into eastern Washington and Oregon too. Now, here's the 1814 today precipitation, and again, that monsoon signal there. So this is risk of hazardous temperatures, kind of an experimental product they put out here. You can see excessive heat moderate, July 16th through the 22nd, generally for the central portions out in the plains here, and down through Texas, Oklahoma, portions of Arkansas here too. So they kind of point out what the extended forecasts are looking like, and it's just something I like to look at occasionally. And here's that slight risk of heavy precipitation, the monsoon moisture around New Mexico and Arizona up into Colorado there. So yeah, enjoy another nice day again today. The summertime pattern doesn't look to be ending anytime soon. We'll watch that trough on and then extend it a little bit here and see if it's going to bring precipitation or maybe even a thunderstorm to portions of western Washington or Oregon and British Columbia. It looks like a much better bet as far as thunderstorm activity. But we'll go ahead and continue to monitor that on the extended forecast. I'm working on a video about Seattle's heat waves since 1950, checking out similar pattern types for heat waves and checking out some of our greatest heat waves in the Seattle area and for the Pacific Northwest here. And we're going to highlight the 2020 gigantic record-setting ultimate heat wave that we had last year in June. So I'll be working on that today. I'll try to get it out tonight, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, enjoy this summertime pattern while we have it. It's summer here in the Pacific Northwest, and by the time we get to fall, you'll be wishing for some of these days. So enjoy it while it lasts. And we'll go ahead and I'll do another forecast tomorrow or the next day, probably, depending on how my video goes here on the heat waves coming up. So yeah, so remember to click like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.